right, we are live, and May the 4th be with you. That's right. Today is May 4th. It is Star Wars Day, and this is something we had cooking behind the scenes for a little while. Today, we're just going to talk Star Wars, and we got to believe. We got to believe in the Force. So we're going to have ourselves a little round table here and just discuss our favorite Star Wars characters, our favorite Star Wars moments, and, of course, our favorite Star Wars movies. Me, personally, I'm an Empire Strikes Back guy. I think it's number 2 on my all-time movie list, behind, of course, Die Hard right there. I absolutely love it. R2-D2 is my favorite character. The Millennium Falcon is my second favorite character, which is kind of weird that we're dealing with 2 non-living characters as your top 2, but those motherfuckers come through every single time. So that's kind of how we're going to start things off, and this is going to be our episode. Kev, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Me personally, my favorite movie is probably just good old-fashioned A New Hope. Favorite characters are the Ewoks. I think Ewoks are the cutest little motherfuckers on the planet Earth. I remember when my family got our first family dog, it was a Shih Tzu, and its coloring and its face looked exactly like a little Ewok, especially when he stood up on his back 2 feet. So I always was like, oh, I got like an Ewok for a pet, basically. I always wanted a lightsaber, obviously. I think, if I'm not mistaken, though, I think Star Wars is the one where the good guys, their like laser beams are red and the bad guys are blue, I think. And I'm a big fan of blue. And I remember always being upset about that. There's something in the Star Wars that's blue for the bad guys, and that always fucked me up. So that kind of ruined my childhood a little bit. But yeah, I also, my big take on Star Wars, I think we will look back in like 100 years and say there are 3 good Star Wars movies.
Yeah, there was a whole thing about like, is it the greatest movie franchise of all time? And I said there's basically, in my opinion, there's 3 to 4 passable ones in the original 3 trilogies, where it's the original, the sequel trilogy, the prequel trilogy. But it's like
it would be like if Jordan played on the Wizards till like 2023. It would be like that. Like the first 3, and then I guess it actually kind of works out, because technically the Jordans 4, 5, and 6 are like his best ones in my mind, right? Yep. And that's what Star Wars is, right? Because A New Hope starts with 4. So Michael Jordan and Star Wars are very similar. It would just be like if Jordan just continued to limp on, and if he had the worst coaches and the worst supporting cast, and they just played the worst brand of basketball, and they just kept on doing it every time. That would be Star Wars.
How about the movie, man? What's your Star Wars takes, Kyle?
Hot take: Force Awakens is overloved. Last Jedi is overhated. I know you don't like The Last Jedi. Force Awakens is just like everybody needed like an orgasm for Star Wars at that point, and it was just fucking J.J. Abrams running it back with the Death Star and everything else that went into it. It was just fanboy porn through and through.
That's okay though. I get what you mean, but also sometimes all right.
It was needed. It needed to like jump off the new generation, so I totally get it. Right, but Last Jedi is overhated because Empire Strikes Back, same thing. Everybody hated it when it came out.
I'm dying. Does Phil even have a Star Wars take?
Right, I do not have a Star Wars take other than I like Yoda. The end.
He likes Yoda, and he occasionally sounds like Darth Vader when his mic's all fucked up. So, all right, that's the episode. Drink your Coors Light, and we'll see you guys next week. No, that was
fans screaming at the screen. Like, what are you doing? Why are they talking about Scherzer? What's going on?
I'm telling you, there's probably a bunch out there who are like, guys, just keep this shit going, because I do not want to talk or hear about this team. Before we went live, I said, I was going to say to the group text when you said, hey, you guys good for 11. I was going to say, should we go back to Friday so we get the Verlander start and we kind of know what the series, how it turns out, whether it's a sweep or they at least take one. But I kind of like, I don't want any of the sting gone right now, because the way we feel now is the way we're gonna feel, probably the way we should feel if something happens in the next series and the series after that. So we're just gonna go and take our medicine right on the chin. It's not gonna be fun, but it is what it is. Mets get swept yesterday in Detroit by the Tigers. Ottavino gives up the runs in the 8th inning that leads to the first loss. And then Max Scherzer gets absolutely tattooed in the second game as the Mets lose yet again. So we're going to get into our Mets talk. Our Mets talk and this entire podcast, as always, is brought to you by Coors Light. If you need to just chill out, which, let's be honest, I think we all do right now after that display yesterday, get yourself a Coors Light. Go out to the bars, catch up on, the games, happy hour with the fellas, the coworkers, whatever it may be. Have a little midweek happy hour and catch up on the Mets game afterwards. So while you're at it, enjoy an ice cold Coors Light, proud partner of the New York Mets and the We Gotta Believe podcast. It is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged. It's literally made to chill and get you through 162 games of absolute nonsense. The perfect companion for all things chill. Pair your plans with an ice cold Coors Light, the beer that's keeping New York chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Get your Coors Light. Go out to the bars. Go on Saturday afternoon, 3:30. The New York Knicks are playing. I don't know what the Mets are going to be doing between now and then, but I know the Knicks are playing a playoff game in Miami. Get your Coors Lights as blue as they come and beat the Heat. Okay, boys, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I'm worried about Max Scherzer. You're worried about Max Scherzer.
Bro.
Everybody's worried about Max Scherzer.
I mean, it has nothing to do with suspension or sticky stuff. This dates back to last year. Our boy Jay Hay cooked up a little nugget. I think his last 7 starts, it's like, an OPS of like almost 1,000. It's, an ERA of like 6. It's not good. The home run ball has always kind of been a thing. Even during his good starts, he seems to always get tattooed for one. But there was a lot of hard hit balls and a lot of balls left over the plate. Anybody suggesting it's like he was cheating all these years or something like that, like his entire career or something was because of sticky stuff, is fucking crazy. But anybody talking about, did the age finally catch up with him and did he fall off a cliff? Certainly valid, man. And I will tell you this much. The last episode, I was like, we'll be fine. This episode, our starting pitching is garbage. It's not even like passable if you don't have Scherzer. Even let's say Verlander's lights out. Okay, you got an ace. The rest of that staff stinks. It's not good. We're
relying on Joey Lucchesi.
Yeah,
the guy wasn't even on anyone's radar. And that's the guy that we're like, oh, well, maybe he'll be good.
We're not even talking about like names that are good but underperforming or whatever. We're not talking about rookies who are over their head right now. They're going to figure it out. We're talking about bad pitchers, and a lot of them. No names, no pedigree, no talent. And that's it. Like, that's it. If this is the Mets starting pitching for the rest of the year, they will not make the playoffs. Straight up. Like, they probably won't even be close. Verlander can only do so much. And even him, it's like, I don't know, started off with an injury, not great. I'm sure they'll have to ease him back in. So I don't predict, an amazing start from him tonight. Even if he's good, he'll probably be 5 innings and 80 pitches because they don't want to push it because Lord knows he might be their only fucking pitcher. So, McGill's and Peterson's and even like Senga, who, for a minute we got excited and then we were kind of like, not so much. I mean, that staff sucks. And I take a little solace in the fact that Ty Walker and Trevor Williams and Chris Bassett all stink also. So it's not like we would have had any alternative. It's not like it could have gone a different way. But we stink. And the offense might start to click. Robertson's been amazing, for the most part, except for yesterday stunk. He's been good. But that starting pitching, you will get nowhere.
So I put up the stats earlier that through 31 games, our runs scored is like identical to last year. And then our runs allowed, it's not even close. We stink.
What's the difference?
I think I'll pull it up. I think we gave up like 102 at this point last year, and this time it's like 140.
Yeah.
And it's basically all the starting pitching. It's not the bullpen. The starting pitching has a 5.56 ERA. That's good for 31st in baseball, behind only the Oakland A's, who are not.
Wait, you said 31st in baseball?
31st in
29th. There's 30 teams.
You're 31st in baseball. 29th in baseball. They're 29th in baseball, 5.56 ERA. To make this even more of a mirror image, the Max Scherzer has a 5.56 ERA. So our starting pitchers are pitching Max Scherzer, 2023 Max Scherzer level baseball, basically on average every single night. And we've watched Max Scherzer. That is not good. The bullpen is 13th in ERA, 3.56. And yeah, the runs, 131, 12th in baseball. So
they're taxed out every single game because we're getting 4 innings into it. Even when it says 4, it's like it's 4+. We're trying to push these guys as far as they can go, and they can't fucking do anything. And especially with Max saying he wasn't locating. You also weren't missing any barrels, dude. Like everyone that hit the ball, there was no cheapies in there.
And it's the Tigers, by the way.
It's so fucking frustrating.
He went out there and the Rays did it to him, which, by the way, the Rays looming in a couple weeks. If we're playing like this now, we're going to get dicks ripped off and shoved down our throats, come out our ass, and then back in our mouth again. It's so amazing how much, one thing can flip. I was just confident Max was going to be okay. And then if he's not, much like Diaz shifts everybody down, like that changes everything. Because two starting pitchers is manageable. But the difference from 2 to 1 is the difference between probably 92 wins and 80 wins. You know what I mean? It's like you can't go out there every night and dig yourself a hole. I don't know what would you say you hate more? Because historically, we've sucked, but we've always had good starting pitching, for the most part. That's been if you can say one thing about the Mets, it's that, right? And we've had a horrible bullpen. And, for years I've said there's nothing worse in sports than rooting for a team with a horrible bullpen. All your good work just gets erased. But maybe we've been spoiled by good pitching, because when the game's just over, or, every time you score a couple, you give them right back, it's the fucking worst to watch.
So, Kev, I'm happy you said that, because this was my next point. This podcast, we've been around long enough where we went to the yearly debate, basically. It goes, what's worse? This team that can't hit the fucking ball, or this team that can't protect the lead late in a game? It would always be bullpen versus the offense, because when the offense would have 0, 1, 2, 1, 0 run games, or the bullpen that would just gut us in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and it was a fair thing. I will say this is the first time that the starting pitching has been this bad since we started this podcast, and don't get me wrong, this is horrible. I can check out by the 4th inning now. I'm just we're fucked, basically. You
don't get your heart ripped out, but it does. As much as we're gluttons for punishment, as much as I hate it, it's the spice of life with the Mets. It's terrible, but it's they're the Amazons for a reason. And in their heyday, they would always have big comebacks, and then in their bad days, it's we're in it and then we blow it in the 9th. This shit where I'm not even gonna fucking watch, because I know I got garbage on the mound that's given up 3 in the first. And also what's really tough is when you watch the offense struggle a little bit, and then when you watch the opposing offense not struggle, we know baseball's a game of failure, right? The difference between hitting it 2 out of 10 times and 3 out of 10 times is, Hall of Fame. The difference between getting on 3 times and 4 times out of 10 is, makes all the difference. So there's inherently a ton of failure with offense. With pitching, it's more often than not, you motherfuckers should be able to get outs, and you can't. So it feels just blah. Are you guys even professionals? What is this? And I know, of course, we sound like assholes sitting from the couch here, of course. But that's sports. It's just it's very tough to watch when you can score 1,000 runs and it might not be enough.
The bullpen blowing a game late, it's like having a masterpiece painted, and then there's just it's like the cashmere sweater from Seinfeld. The little dot on it ruins everything, and then it's a worthless sweater. Where the bullpen or the starting pitching playing like this, it's just a big glob of brown paint right in the middle. It's it's disgusting, and I can't even look at it. Yeah, it's fucking cooked from the jump. So,
well, our first 3 starters, we've tied up $100 million for this season. So it's We've put all of our money into the thing that we thought was going to be our strength. And like going into the season, I don't know what MLB Network was doing, putting us like second in the league in starting pitching. And then we see the product that we have now. And like, I get it because we have the big names, but like if Verlander goes out and throws 7 innings today, and even with an 80 pitch count, because he's efficient, like at least it'll be something to hang your hat on, but he can't do it himself. So right after that's the huge drop.
Are we overreacting in the sense of like, Max Scherzer is still a Hall of Fame legend. Like baseball is a very long sport. The suspension and his days got pushed back. Pitchers are a creature of habit. In between this bad run, he did shut down that Padres lineup. Like, there's been flashes. Is there a chance that Max puts it together? Like, what do you think Max's ceiling is right now? Like, I'm pretty much out on him. I remember thinking like, I don't know, like Verlander is the best pitcher on the planet, but Max like had his lowest ERA ever. Maybe he'll be the one. It'll be like a 1 and 1A. Now I'm like, 1's out the window. Can we still get a 2 starter out of him, or are we just looking at a 3 and potentially a back end guy? Because that I mean is like the season is absolutely canceled if he's just going to be flat out bad. But if he figures it all out, where do you think he gets back up to?
Phil, let me hear your thoughts.
I mean, there's so much time left. That's the other thing too. Like, we're talking about 5 starts. Like, right. There's 130 games left. Realistically, you hope he makes like 25 more starts.
Right.
So, but even if he
that's a lot. Now, like, is his velocity down? Are his breaking balls?
Yeah, it's
are all the precursors and the signals there? That's what I'm worried about.
Everything's down, but it's like also so early in the year where maybe he figures it out middle of the season when the weather warms up. Like, and then you look at the final numbers. Like, let's say he has a 3 ERA. Like, I'd take that right now, but it's a question. We don't know if it's going to happen.
It's crazy too, though. It's like Sandy Alcantara's giving up like 70 runs or whatever. Like, baseball is so stupid that maybe next year when Max is 39. He has a great season, and this one is just the down year for whatever reason. But I do get worried that it's like, he's old, and I think this is where his whole like intensity persona doesn't work. It's like you're not gonna go out there and fucking eat these guys alive anymore. You gotta like, I'd rather see like a Pedro out of him. Watching Pedro in 05, where he like adapted and learned to like paint corners and throw junk and pitch to contact and all that shit was so pretty as compared to like, you're going to do your stomp around the fucking dugout and bullpen routine and then go give up a first inning home run every time. Is that what we're going to do every time, Max?
Also, something that annoys me when I see people say, it's like, oh, this is why you can't build a rotation around like old starters. And it's like, when starting pitchers get to free agency, they're already old. Carlos Rodon's a decade younger. We don't know if he's pitching this year. Jacob deGrom's 34 years old. We don't know when he's going to be back. Then
Also,
it's like, oh,
I think it's the right move. I think like what we did, what you really need in a perfect world is what we almost had in 15, where you had 4 or 5 pitchers through the system that were just fireballers and lights out, and it didn't really pan out. But for the most, it was successful. It just didn't get the total.
We've seen both sides.
And if you can do that, you're amazing. Really, what the Wilpons should have done was add like one superstar, $35 million pitcher to that mix, and a couple $35 million bats, because you had 5 pitchers that were making like $2 million total. So all that extra money should have just been thrown all in, and the Mets should have won like 120 games. But that's the perfect scenario. The other scenario is like, you have a couple guys in the mix, like one that's about to hit free agency, and you have a good staff. If you don't have those things, though, I think do short-term, high annual value risks, because it's not working out. But if it did, if you got Max and Verlander at their best, it would have absolutely been the best thing the Mets could have put together. You're not going to get 3 or 4 guys in their prime at all high costs. And what's coming from the farm is a crapshoot. So go all in on the proven product for a short amount of time and hope that it pans out and works out. And if it doesn't, we gotta ride with them for 2 more years, and that's it. Like
the reality is, pitchers just break at some point, whether they break when they're 24 or when they break when they're 40. It's just the nature of the game. So I don't think you can't really have a take like this is the right way to build pitching or this is the right way to do this, because it's different for everybody.
you could lay it down on paper. Everyone has great intentions and like grand plans, but the players have to go out there and perform the way that you're paying them to. And if we're putting $86 million in 2 pitchers, and again, there's 25 starts left, there's so much season left. We're over 500, and we're 5 games back. So it's like, if you're looking across the way at the Yankees, like, yeah, they have a better record than we do, and they're in dead last. So like, be fortunate that we have taken some games when we need to. But like, if this isn't a wake up call to like, this team cannot look anything like it's looking right now in August. Yeah. If this is the way it continues.
They're very lucky to be 500.
Right.
Like they have not performed well really at all.
And they've lost to bad teams.
They're a streaky team because they won series versus the Padres. They won series versus the Dodgers. They split with the Giants. We had a hot streak.
Was the best swing since 05, yeah.
And yet we did not have any hot or cold streaks last year. This year, it's 30 games in. We already have our hot and our cold streak.
And that's where I think a lot of fans are like losing their minds because they got so used to it last year. Like 4th inning in the second game, I was like, I'm putting this on my second screen and I'm going to watch like Ted Lasso just for some feel good content because it's just like you can't live and die with the team, especially in doubleheaders where they're playing like dog shit. Of like, this is what I'm committing to for 6 more months.
We are the kings of splitting doubleheaders, and the fact that we couldn't get it done against.
Oh shit! I didn't think about that.
First loss in a doubleheader sweep since 2020,
and it came to the Tigers.
I was talking to Pavs. I think the bottom of the 8th, giving up the lead in the bottom of the 8th is worse than a walk off. It's like you're like, all right, we probably got this in the bag. Like, yeah, we're Mets fans. We know what can happen in late innings. But, like, we're probably good. Your win probability is probably through the roof. And then it's just like, bingo, bango, bongo. They score the runs. Their closer's in. The game's over. And it's just like, wait. It was in our hands, and then it was fucking gone. That, to me, is somehow worse than the 9th inning, like, theatrics. It was just like, ugh, fuck.
You said it, Phil, with like the way last year was, and like you said, the winning streaks, Kyle, and whatever. Last year was like,
I mean, how many times are we gonna say it? Like,
I hope everyone and we said, this is the thing. We said before this season, again, this is the beauty of the fucking podcast, is it's all recorded. Go back to like the season preview or whenever the fuck we said it. We said this season is gonna be bumpier. There's just no fucking way you get 2 seasons where 101 wins and like everyone's pretty healthy. I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer, they won 101 with those guys missing a good chunk of time, each of them. But it was like, man, like you just know that it's going to be so much deeper than that, and you're going to just have weird shit. Pete fucking flipped his car in spring training, walked out without a scratch. The only, like, finally, the hit by pitch record hurt us at the worst possible time with Marte, but everyone else somehow bounced back from it, where those seem to be the things that end up like derailing your offense. And somehow, Edwin Diaz didn't fucking have his knee explode in a worthless preseason tournament last year. It's just crazy how that shit goes. And then here we are. We're in it now. But like we said, just fucking get it together in August, September, and let's fucking go. Because I think there's like the have-nots are just not going to try in baseball, right? Like the fucking cheap fucks like the A's. Then you have the haves who are going to be fucking awesome, like the Dodgers probably by the end of the year. And then you just have to like get into the fucking tournament and make it work. I'd rather not play the wild card round for reasons that we saw last October. But if you play it, you play it. If not, even better. The Braves are going to be a fucking pain in the ass again, it seems. And we just go from there. And with all this fucking crying in our beers and licking our wounds, let's take a quick look at the standings here. All right. We are 16-15. The team with 1 win above us, the San Diego Padres. Worse, like, are they garbage? Are their team fucking fans jumping off a fucking cliff? Right above us, too. Like you said, in last place, but nonetheless, 17-15. The New York Yankees. Then there's us. Then there's the Miami Marlins, who I heard like none of our wins should count against them. And then below them is the Houston Astros. So there you go. Now, there's your fucking standings there, fellas.
Right. I totally get that. And it's still so early. And yeah, you're not saying that the Phillies season's over. You're not saying that the Astros season's over. I get all that. Go through that list, though, and tell me how many of those teams have one of the 3 core pieces of the game, either bullpen, offense, or starting pitching, in dead last.
Yeah, the A's are not a Major League Baseball team, so yeah, we are dead last. I guess
you know what I mean. So it's like I totally get that, but it's a miracle to have the worst starting pitching in the league and be in that mix. You do that over 162. If they pitch the way they're pitching, I think they'll win like 71 games. Like they're going to be a bad team. Not even like forget about like are we gonna make the playoffs? That's what scares me. So like, last year people complained about one or two guys. This one player is, McCann is terrible, and these moves we made at the deadline aren't good enough. That was like little fine points on a fucking masterpiece. Now we're talking about we have one entire facet of the game is totally garbage. That is a very different scenario.
What did people even complain? Like, I'm trying to think, like, what did people complain that we were fighting every week against? What were they complaining about?
About the Braves never losing. That's really it. And look, the Braves are going to win the division this year by 15 games, so be it. Like, we can't do anything about it.
It was like, we would win 3-2, but, you're mad we didn't score more runs. You're mad that, like, Lindor's batting average isn't high enough. You're mad that I don't know. Because this is why, all season I was like, what are you fucking talking about? Every move our manager made was the right one. Clutch hits from everybody. Like, everybody had walk-offs down to fucking Patrick Mazika and shit. Like, there were moments that were amazing. And the bullpen was the only, like, the middle of the bullpen was kind of the only thing to get upset about. That's basically every.
And they weren't even that bad as that last year. We had 3 perfect innings from Jimmy Yacobonis yesterday, and we couldn't even smile at that.
Oh, Yacoboners, stand the fuck up. Put those boners out, boys. Put those boners out right there. This is gonna get me in trouble on YouTube, but I don't care. We're boning up right now for Jimmy Yacobonis. I love that fucking guy. It's because he has a funny name, but that's how I fall in love with my baseball players. They have a funny name, funny motion. They don't wear batting gloves. That's how I fall in love with you. Shout out Jimmy Yacobonis. Yacoboners, stand the fuck up.
We're doing boners, baby. Boners for 2023. We're church boning. God, it was such a dream. It was such a fucking dream. And I hate everyone because we screamed it from the mountaintops in there until we were blue in the face. Enjoy this season. Enjoy this season. But what made it even worse was that I couldn't enjoy it because I was yelling at other people to enjoy it. What we should have just done is ride the wave and been high-fiving and hugging. And when we did lose, we would just say, that sucks. And when the Braves won, we should have said, God damn, that's shitty luck. The 1 year we're awesome. This team is all-time good. But hey, whatever. Instead, it's fire Epler and fuck Cohen and all this shit. You dumb pieces of trash.
It's still
goddamn
the Wilpons.
Trash people.
Kev, do you remember what that place was called?
What place?
The place where you go and you don't worry about all the
Consolina?
It was Cohen Lina. Remember, I rebranded. I was down in Cohen Lina, and I was telling you, dude, just settle the fuck down. Like, get off Twitter. Stop yelling at these fucking jabronis over there, and just enjoy this shit for what it is. And I almost feel like I have to go back to Cohen Lina now. And granted, it's like 60 degrees and cloudy, but it's like, hey, man, it sure is shit a lot better than the Consolina people who are like running around with their hair. And trust me, if you don't have starting pitching, it's not even worth showing up to the ballpark anymore. That's the reason why we don't take the WBC seriously. America does not send their best pitchers. If you don't send your best starters, you are an unserious team. Right?
It's funny to say that, though, because I don't know whether I'm gone to Consolina or Cohen Lina. We're on a fine line right now. But today, May the 4th, the year of our Lord 2023, I've officially retired from Twitter. It's been a running joke on KFC Radio if you've listened for a while about Pavs changing the password, but today was the day I finally had him change it for myriad reasons, from the Mets being one of them. The Incy situation has proved that there's just really nothing that can come from social media and the mob. And all these years, the bird was horrible for my mental health, but it was the good outweighed the bad. And it was fun enough. We used to do EMTC, we would do irrational takes, and we would argue, we would banter. It was good for promotion. It was fun for live tweeting baseball games and award shows and football, all that sort of live entertainment. And now all that shit has been ruined. And all it is arguing and politics and people trying to get you canceled and Mets fans being fucking idiots. I have this one dickhead who just hates Tommy Pham so much and thinks that Tommy Pham is like the main reason the Mets are bad. And when Tommy Pham hits, a 3-run home run, I'm like, I told you so. And then he, has a couple games where he goes 0 for and his batting average is down to 196. And he tells me, Where's your Tommy Pham shit now? And then Tommy Pham goes 3 for 4 and raises his batting average like 30 points in one game because it's May and that's going to happen. And I go back at him and I'm like, what am I doing here? All it is fucking Marcus Stroman race baiting and Mets fans complaining and I'm done. So that's officially it. You'll see my final tweet on the timeline, at least for now. Who knows? Never say never. We're not deleting the account. But my final tweet before Pabst changed it, I texted him. I said, change the password. I quickly ran over to Twitter. I was like, I got to have one last tweet. And I said, it'll be okay with the Mets. And it might not be this year, but with Steve Cohen at the helm, it will all eventually be okay. And that's my swan song. So to all the Mets fans who were fun over the years, when Mets Twitter was a good thing, we had a good run. To all the Mets fans who were absolute assholes and make it an unlivable, unusable place, rotten hell, you're the worst. But that's it for your boy. So I'll still be lurking in the shadows with my burner to follow along and get some information and all that kind of shit. But you won't see me on there mixing it up anymore. So the WBC was my swan song. I went out on the hill that I will always die on, fighting fucking everybody. It was like 300. All the arrows were coming at me. And I still was like, no, I'm right, you're wrong. Morons believing that 97% of Japan was tuned in. Shut up, Phil. I'm happy with hanging him up at this point. So, I hope it's Cohen line. If you ask me now to make my bet, I unfortunately think it'll be Kunzel. I just don't see how that stands.
I did see people asking, are you breaking up the Kunzel meter or was it retired when Cohen bought the team?
So the Kunzel meter will come out, but you can Kunzel anything, man. Like you get Kunzeled, people get Kunzeled in Game 7 of the World Series. It's when your season is over. So, if it's the bottom of the 9th and someone hits a walk-off off you, Kunzel. But the Kunzel meter used to mean more than that. It was more like, fuck this team, fuck this franchise, fuck these owners. I am no longer going to give you my time and my effort because you're not worth it. That I can't do that under a Steve Cohen team anymore because they're operating in good faith. They're trying and they're spending and they had a plan and we were all about it, a couple of months ago, and then it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So the Kunzel meter will always live on. It's more when you reach the point of, I don't think this team will make the playoffs, but it's not an indictment of the organization. It's not me saying fuck the ownership and fuck management. That's why we're in this mess. It's, give it another month of this. If the pitching is still this bad and they don't make a move, I would say, realistically, you can never really Kunzel until after the trade deadline. I don't know. If they went and traded for Ohtani, things would be very fucking different, wouldn't they? So I guess you have to wait till then. But I think if this pitching continues and we have enough of a sample, it'll be a Kunzel.
I did say, so Mother's Day's looming large. It's 10 days away. That's the earliest Kunzel of all time.
No. He Kunzeled on opening day once.
Did you? That must have been like a 2012 season.
I've had plenty of Mother's Day Kunzels. I've had opening day Kunzels. I've had preseason Kunzels. In 2013, it was a February Kunzel. It's like later. This team fucking sucks. But I would say if this team, we're at May 4th. If, again, realistically, it's the trade deadline, like conservatively. But if I'm going to place my bet and make my call, June 15th, I'll tell you. If this pitching is I think usable. And then, McNeil's coming around a little bit. I think he's batting like 294 now. Pete doing his thing. Beatty looks sharp. Nimmo's still batting 300 and performing. But it's like, you need Marte to be who he was. You need some magic. There's other holes to worry about. But I think the rest of the team is performing well enough to be like high 80s, low 90s wins and get a wild card and see what you get. But that's only if you have, starting pitching that's also ranked 15th and not 31st.
31st, yeah.
The Mets pitching is so bad. There are two minor league teams that have better pitching than them.
Yeah, the opening day console was Bobby Parnell. That's always my little like fun fact. He blew the save and
then blew out his elbow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2014, I think.
14. I just said straight up day one console.
Yep, that's a console. And I do think you did console in February once, and it was probably during like the dark days.
That was like we were gonna win like 60 games, but that's so funny. A legitimate opening day console. I'll put that at the top of my resume, man. I love that.
So I guess we'll see. This is the other thing. When we recorded on what was it? Tuesday? So that was 48 hours ago. We said, all right, let's give the rotation one trip through. And we had, granted, Max looking awful is a real cause for concern, and that kind of is like levels to it. It's not just he looks bad, but he's looked bad enough, off and on. He also, his last two starts, he didn't give up a run against the Dodgers and Padres. That means something as well. We said we're going to give it a full run through rotation. Joey Lucchesi got, hit around in, honestly, it looked like a Mexico City game, that fucking Detroit game. It was fucking ridiculous. The balls are just blasted left and right. I'm like, what the fuck? It was like a really windy day, right? Is that what it was? So I said, when did the Tigers move to Mexico City? Which, by the way, next time there's a Mexico City game, we got to have every single prop in the Barstool Sportsbook because that shit was so fucking awesome to watch on Gamecast, at least the first game. And then now we have Verlander today. Like, welcome to the team, Justin. Every Mets fan needs you to go out and pitch a quality fucking start in your first game of the year. Welcome to Metsland.
We just need you to be our savior in the beginning.
Remember how good you were like 10 years ago? We need that right now.
Yeah, you know what we need? Okay. Here's my one. This is I'm fucking Doctor Strange, and I'm going through all my scenarios, and there's one that would work out. Justin Verlander pulls out his big fat dick and crushes the city of New York with it, and is an absolute king. And that is the only thing that sparks Max Scherzer back. Like he's such a competitive freak, and there was all this talk about how they used to butt heads because they were such competitors. And right now it looks like, you're a 5-starter and Justin's going to be the ace, and he's like not going to allow that. And he finds it somehow, and he fucking turns it on, and they become a two-headed Schilling and Randy Johnson beast. That's like the only thing I can think of.
I mean, hey, if you think about it, they're like, maybe we throw them on the IL both again later in the year, and they're fresher for the postseason if we even make the fucking postseason at this point.
Bro, we're not in a position right now to be talking. We're not doing load management right now, bro.
Fair, that's fair. So again,
speaking of the IL, Narvaez to the 60-day. We'll never see that guy again. We'll never see him again.
I forgot he was on the team. If I'm being honest.
He's with wherever Quintana is. Like they are in the Dead Lowry Hotel. Like we'll see you never.
Same with Carrasco. Totally forgot he's on the team. I'm not considering him in the rotation anymore.
Gone. Yeah, there's a couple guys where you're just like, see you fucking later. Is there a move to be made? Like, what will be? Are there going to be any pitchers available at the deadline? There's always somebody, but like, is there anybody of note that is, we got to move him before he asks for big money?
Have you ever heard of Marcus Stroman before? That's a guy that could get moved.
Oh my God!
Imagine. I swear, I love this team so fucking much. I would root for Marcus Stroman, and I fucking hate that. He sucks so much. I remember when he was on the team. I remember being like, "Oh, this guy makes me puke," but hey, he's dealing for us, so whatever. I root for the name on the fucking front.
The love outweighs the hate. That's just the way the world works when you're a Mets fan.
Is there any?
Like a Luis Castillo guy, you're saying? Like everyone knew Luis Castillo was getting moved last year. Like a guy
I guess Corbin Burns, but like the Brewers are good. Like I don't.
Right.
Yeah. True.
Why don't they just move Ohtani? They're not gonna fucking pay him. Come get all of our prospects, man. Let's go. Actually, to be honest, I was so on board with that. But I that was when I thought they were a real championship contender. Like I don't know anymore. At this point, it's like don't give up the farm. Just try to give him $700 million when he's a free agent because we got more work to do anyway. But
and like let's just like we're just listing the teams that don't like. I guess the Brewers. Phil, you're saying like the Brewers don't.
They're in second place, but they also lost the series to the Rockies, so their season's over.
It's so early. Like there's so many wild cards too. Like you can never even pinpoint what team's going to be a seller.
I feel like Manfred's going to add another 2 wild cards by the end of the month. He's just feeling himself with all these rule changes. He's going to be like, if you have the top 3 payroll, you get a wild card too. Like you can buy a wild card if you want now. Go buy us a wild card.
I like that. It's like if you contribute enough dollars to the bottom feeders of the league because of the revenue share, you get to just go to the playoffs.
What's do we have does Major League Baseball have like a big charity that they like really hammer to? Like I know like NFL
Foundation.
Which one?
The Atlanta Braves Foundation.
The Atlanta Braves Foundation. If you give the Atlanta Braves enough money, it will feed a starving baseball player today. Oh, God damn it. So, I mean, if that's how we get the wild card spot, I don't give a fuck, right? Just like get us there. I don't know who's going to start the games because at this point, I don't have really faith with anybody.
I have one more idea. Balco. Let's just do steroids. Like, really, if you are, I don't want to say Max because like he has a Hall of Fame legacy. You don't want to ruin that. But like, if you're one of these fucking bums, just do steroids. Like, hey, by the way, does anybody remember that Starling Marte got suspended for steroids? Nope.
You should do it again.
Fucking cares. So this idea that it like ruins your legacy, that's only if you're a goddamn Alex Rodriguez. Everyone else just pays the time and then that's it. But you know, in the meantime, you might have blasted 50 fucking home runs and grabbed yourself a fucking contract and led your team to a World Series. So let's just do that, guys.
All right, ready? There's 3 people in front of you. Actually, no, we'll go 4 people. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz. Which one of those guys should not be in the Hall? Which of those guys should be in the Hall of Fame and which of them shouldn't? Let me tell you, David Ortiz going to the Hall of Fame. Why? Because everyone fucking likes him. The other 3 are insufferable pricks, so they're not getting in the Hall of Fame.
You know who should?
David Ortiz got caught doing.
There has never been a better candidate for steroids than Eduardo Escobar. Why is that guy not doing? Well, seriously, like if you were working on Wall Street and you had a good career, and all of a sudden it was coming to an end, and these like new age kids were replacing you. And there's some fucking special computer program that you can use or some insider trading that you can do to keep your money coming and your job going. And you're just like not going to do it out of like, because what? Because what? Eduardo Escobar should have needles in his ass as he walks up to the plate right now. Let's go, guys. By any means possible.
I'm telling you right now, once fucking Penn starts going like, hey, these page view numbers have to be a certain level, I'm using ChatGPT to write my blogs from now on. And that motherfucker is going to give me 5 more years on the blog. I'll just be pinned. All my blogs will be trending.
Bro, if you think that I have not considered the idea of ChatGPT writing a Barstool tell-all book, and then I go in there and I make the tweets, but it does the bulk of the work, absolutely. Let's do it, man.
So, yeah, cheat. That's that. And, like, they're too busy worrying about the sticky stuff. Like, when the teacher tells you, don't do this, don't do that, and then they move on to the next thing, then you can. That's the perfect time to do the old shit.
Do it. Yeah. No one's even worried about steroids. They're like, no one's doing anabolic, primobolan, cream in the clear anymore. Now's the time, boys. Now's the time.
I remember when Mejia got popped. He got popped for like steroids from 2001. And he's like, I didn't even know you guys still test for this shit.
I respect the fuck out of Mejia, he just did it like 5 times, right? He just got.
They gave him a lifetime ban, and he was just like, I'll just wait out the clock, and then they rolled it back, and they let him play again.
Yep.
Who cares?
Dude. You know how I know they don't care about steroids? Because they're basically putting steroids in the baseballs and letting these things get juiced, right? Like they did that as an organization. Yeah.
Imagine juice balls plus juiced humans.
It's the closest thing we'll get to the metal bats, Kev, that you always wanted to see. Home run derby with metal bats.
Man, I know that dude Ryan Spader always posts the tweet. I honestly thought I had seen all the Barry Bonds stats, but that tweet about 04 where he had he reached base more times than he had at bats or something like that. It's fucking insane. It's like I was like, that stat doesn't even logically make sense. That can't be true. Give me that. Imagine if Barry Bonds had a juiced ball year.
Oh.
If Pete Alonso could hit 53, I'm not kidding. I think Barry would have hit 100.
You might be underselling it.
I would go if some nerd out there go back and find me how many like warning track flyouts Barry Bonds had, because those will all be home runs. And I bet you he gets like 130 bombs.
It would be like the Jason Bay spray chart where it was like, oh no, none of these bombs would be home runs in Citi Field. It's like the opposite of that. Yeah. He would just have hit everything. So we'll see what happens at 110 today. Thank God it's a fucking day game. And then I guess we'll just do a very brief preview of the upcoming series again against another team that is probably going to finish, around last place in their division. Colorado Rockies, Senga versus Senzatella. You have to use the hands to talk like that. McGill versus Gomber, and then the old TBD.
Joey Flacco on 3 days rest.
Yep. Awesome. Versus Feltner. I guess that's why Buck gave him the early.
Yep.
It was that, and because I guess he had a very righty-heavy lineup.
And it didn't even matter because he still had Ottavino to lead in the 8th either way. So
yeah, I'm not going to complain about
that to me, I'm going to call that a Diaz game because to me, that's like should have been fucking Robertson in the 8th and Diaz in the 9th, and that's one of those games that goes Otto instead. You got to be able to rely on him, but that probably would have been a W. But it's so amazing how you can go from we got 2 aces and Senga might be the real deal, and then we got a few young kids and a couple other options free agent wise to throw at the back end to like it all went wrong. It all went wrong. Like when you really think about it, it's probably the most precarious thing in sports is like your starting rotation because, like I said, if you have 3 good pitchers, you're like amazing, and if you have 2, you can survive, and if you have 1, like you're totally done. It's the razor thin.
Your 2013 Mets and Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
And also like the most Jekyll and Hyde responses from everybody because 2 weeks from now, we're playing all these shitty teams, and then the Rays come to town. Like, they could go on a streak right now, and next thing we know, we're a game or 2 out of first place.
Well, that's why this was very doom and gloom. This was more of a Mets Fans Anonymous venting session. That's why I said, around like June 15th is when I'll really like start to think where we're really at because it's so goddamn early. But there's a lot of precursors and a lot of the signs are there. That's the problem. If everything was middle of the road, I'd say we're fine. We are lucky to be middle of the road with a last place rotation.
The last 2 years, we were in first place for like a million days. So
that doesn't matter. Right?
That doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, just gotta make it. But long way to go to make it at this point. So.
The steroid, use steroids being broke out on May 4th. That's much earlier than usual from this podcast. We usually save that till June or July, or even the swoon in August. So I think we'll be all right. Really nothing to add with this Colorado series. They are 11-20, 5th place. I know.
We'll just do an evergreen preview for the next like 3 series. It's a team that's not good that the Mets should beat, but Mets will lose 2 out of 3 to them, and we'll start to question maybe, hey, we're the bad team in that lineup, in that matchup. End of preview.
Boom. There you go. Clip it, Pavs. Clip it and use it the next 3 fucking episodes. But you know what, Kev? Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
One last thing. Are we still live?